Welcome back to the podcast. If you have been around for a while, you know that we have taken a couple weeks off from um, publishing. Is that the right word? An episode. And we kind of want to give you some insight into what we've been doing the last several weeks. And um, we have a fun announcement. We have a really fun announcement. So if you follow us on Instagram, you may have seen that we've been kind of like joining forces behind the scenes, sharing each other's stuff. Obviously, we do the podcast together. If you are inside Mind Her Business, you know that Marley has been a coach inside of Mind Her Business for at least the last 7-8 months, maybe longer. And if you've been a client of either of ours for the last 2 years, you know that we give all of our clients a session with the other one. So if you came into Mind Her Business, you got a session with Marley. If you came into Marley's programs, you got a session with me. And the reason that we have done this for so long is because business and money are intertwined, right? You cannot run a solid business without solid money management skills. And when you don't feel like your money is in control, then you don't feel like your business is in control. And so we have always known that this was kind of like, I don't know, maybe a spider web that we were weaving, and everything felt so interconnected. And the more that we did this, the more that our clients told us, you guys work so well together. You guys are so exciting when you're doing things together. You should collaborate more. You should bring each other into each other's programs more often. And so we started to really think about what that could look like. And this announcement is basically the combination of several years, a lot of brainstorming, dreaming. What could this look like? What do we want this to look like? Are we sure this is what we want to do? And so, dun, 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 we have decided that we are merging our businesses into Mind Her Business. So, if you have been waiting for us to join forces, we have joined forces. And now, like, we're so excited. And also, we want to kind of give you some background information about how this was possible, what we've been doing. This is part of the reason why we took a break from the podcast for a few weeks, just to concentrate on getting some things buttoned up and make sure that this was exactly the way that we wanted to serve our clients. Because in the end, it's not about us, it's about the clients on the other end of this, and the results that they're getting and the service that they're getting, and the way that they feel, the way that they are taken care of. And so we wanted to make sure that that was exactly, they were getting exactly what we knew that they needed. And so Marley and I are full time in business together. And so that means when you come and Mind Her Business, you not only get me, you get Marley inside Mind Her Business, full time Marley. So we, a lot of the times we do start with money, because getting your money under control gives you the mental capacity. It gives you your passion back, your creativity. It gives you the mental space to be able to run after your business goals, to be able to make decisions in your business, to be able to do what we've done all summer, which we're going to get into in just a second. So we start with the money, and then you have the mental space and the excitement and the control to be able to make business decisions, and I don't know, like, launch new products or services, whatever you want to do. Now you get to move your business in that direction because you know your numbers. So that's the huge announcement. You probably, some of you who know us, you already know that that was in the works and that this was going to happen. We are really excited though, because this means we get to serve more people. We get to serve you deeper, and now you get to get control of your money and move your business instead of taking time off of your business to get control of your money and then plug yourself back into your business. So, Marley, do you have anything you want to say about this?
So much. I think one of the most interesting things about this whole transition and just us being curious around what it could look like is that when we were, collaborating and sharing one another with our clients, often we would say things like, okay, I have this new lead, but I think she needs you first. Sometimes that looked like I have a lead, maybe someone that you were chatting with about Mind Her Business, and you were like, she's so new, she doesn't have any money yet in her business, and I think she needs some business support first to identify what her business is even going to be. And sometimes I would have someone come to me that had some income, but they just were like really focused on how much they didn't have financially. They didn't know what to do. So I was like, maybe they need some help with their money first, especially if they were feeling like a real lack mentality. Like they often have more than they think they do, is what we have found. There's so many more scenarios, but we would often just share that idea back and forth. Like, hey, I think this person needs you. I'm going to send her your way, and vice versa. And I think the coolest part about this merge is that what we have learned is that, it's chicken or the egg, right? Of course, there's no black and white way to decide what someone should focus on first. But what we have found is that even if someone doesn't have any money yet in their business, they still need money to pay their bills. Mm-hmm. Like they still have a life outside of business, and knowing their numbers, whether that be in business or if that be in their personal life, just knowing numbers first gives you that foundation to stand on. It always makes things easier. And as a business coach, when clients come to me already knowing their numbers, even if their business has like nothing yet, when they at least know their personal numbers, we can have a goal to help them identify what do they actually need to make in their business to be able to support their personal goals. Because often we have these like 5K, 10K months as this somehow like standard of success to get a business off the ground. And sometimes all you need is $1,500. Mm-hmm. And everything in your life could be easier. And sometimes you want to hire help to be able to get some more of your time back to put towards a new project in your business, or because it's summer, like you and I, and we want to be able to spend more time with our kids in the summer. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that help is only $300 away a month, And so there's all of these beautiful decisions that can be made when you start with knowing your numbers. Mm-hmm. And that's why we so wholeheartedly believe and have so much integrity behind this merge, because we know that we can help business owners scale faster and build a business around what they actually want when they start with their numbers. And you and I are living proof of that, which we have really leaned into and just even sold ourselves on so much more deeply over the past year of having this conversation about what this merge could look like. It's why we were able to take time off of the podcast this summer, because we knew our numbers, what was coming in, what was going out, and where we wanted to, what our next best step was to be able to really lean in on this merge and give our clients what we felt like they really needed. Gosh, I could go on. So that is what came up for me. And that's what I'm so excited about this decision that we made and finally stopped tiptoeing around and really just went wholeheartedly into over the summer.
This reminds me of last summer. So I took the entire summer off last summer. And while I want to tell you that it was because like I had everything figured out and I could take the time off for the summer, it was mostly because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know where I wanted to move the business. I was really, as you know, if you've listened for any length of time, money was very unstable last year because of all of the things happening in the business and in our home. This year, taking time off for the summer has been a gift. It hasn't been like a burden. And it's so interesting how just 1 year can change everything. It can change your perspective. It can change your financial future. It can change your mindset. It can change your whole business. Yesterday, I didn't do any work and we went to the water park all day with the kids. I would not have been able to enjoy that last year. I would not have been able to. Yes. Did we go to the water park? 100%. Did I just sit and think about what I could be doing at home and in my business? 1,000,000%. But yesterday it was so fun to just be with the family and be able to take some time off. And we honestly, we didn't plan on taking a break from the podcast. This was not something that we planned. And it wasn't like season 1, season 2 coming soon. It was nothing like that. It was literally, we could record an episode today, and we could also move this part of the business so much further in that 1 hour And we decided that it was in our best interest, in the best interest of our clients, of people who are talking to us about potentially coming into Mind Her Business. It was in everybody's best interest to pause the podcast for just a sec and get all of that stuff figured out, buttoned up, like all those things figured out, because they were swirling questions in our head. And what do we know about that? If you have swirling questions, if you have what ifs, if you have unanswered ideas or curiosity, that is going to take over your brain so that you cannot make business decisions, so that you're not present with your clients or your customers when you're in front of them. So you're not present with your family when you're with them, right? So we followed our own advice and we're like, okay, get rid of everything for just a couple of weeks, head down, blinders on, let's get this, all of the things that need to be taken care of, everything down on paper, and then we'll pick everything back up. And that's exactly what we did. And it was so freeing. And I know Marley feels the same way. It was so freeing to be like, no, we're not going to announce we're taking a break from the podcast. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares that we're taking a break from the podcast. It doesn't have to be this whole thing. This is just something we decided was best for us at the time, and then it was best for us the next week, and then it was best for us the week after that. And this week we were like, okay, let's get back to the podcast. We missed the podcast and we have so much to say now that all of those things are out of our brain. And it's really fun to be able to work from a place of integrity and from a place of really making sure that what we're doing is serving the people on the other side of the screen, on the other side of the program. And that's
from our intuition.
Oh my gosh. Well, should I tell the story about? Yes, I'm going to tell it.
Yes, whatever it is, do it.
So there is a company that we follow that we love, and they had a similar merge several years ago. And so I reached out and I was like, hey, I would love some advice, because we want to make sure that we're not going to ruin our friendship, because that's most important to us, honestly. And that we're doing this in a way that gives each of us permission to say, I don't like this, or this isn't working, or because we never want to be trapped into something, especially in business, right? That makes it feel really clunky and hard. And so I reached out to them, and their advice was so affirming, because it was exactly what we were already doing. And so from that point forward, we were like, okay, we're going to trust our gut on this. We have very open conversations together. We never hide anything. I'll come to her and say, I'm really nervous about taking on this expense or these expenses. And she'll say, I'm kind of nervous about, coming in and people like saying, who is this woman, and Mind Her Business. Like, we're so open about what our hesitations are and what our concerns are. And we're also so open with letting that unfold and taking care of some things as they happen, right? Not always worrying about the future. But the reason that we can do that is because we have clear numbers to work with. The numbers, we let our numbers decide that this was the best time.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do this for a long time. And finally, we just sat down together and looked at the numbers, and it was like, okay, I think this is the best time. It's like now or never. Let's just rip off the Band-Aid and do this. We've been talking around it, about it, dancing around it for like forever. And it's time. Let's just do this.
We were really like tiptoeing into it, and we both knew it was the goal and the end goal. And we had so many conversations for so long. And I think what happened is in like maybe June, we both said to one another sort of like, I think at this point, us not going all in on this is fear. Like it makes sense on paper. It makes sense in the numbers. We both want to. Our clients love when we work together, and we love to work together. Like, we are always at our best when we're working together. And I think the message behind this, like what this means for those of you listening, maybe you're not trying to merge your business with someone else, but it's just the fact that we were able to make these decisions with so much confidence because of this sentence that I'm going to share with you. Becca, pull up the spreadsheet. Every time you have a hesitation for me, or a question, or a doubt, or a should I, or, I've said to you, and vice versa, pull up your spreadsheet. Let's look at the numbers. Let's see where you're at. Let's look at your projections. Let's look at what you could cut to be able to afford that extra thing that you want to invest in. Like, we have been able to make so many decisions by pulling up that spreadsheet. And yes, even Becca, the money coach who has created these incredible systems and led so many people to financial success, even she is a human being that has doubts and fears and needs someone to remind her to pull up her spreadsheet, you know? And even when I've been working on my business as a messaging and a sales coach, I've had Becca be like, Marley, and coach me on my thing. And that's why we've been able to just, we feel like each other is like our prodigy. Like you have become so good at everything I taught you. And then I did the same with everything you taught me. And so we felt so confident to be able to trust our clients with one another in the areas we coach. And that's why this just made so much sense for us. And we just had so much confidence in being able to make this move. There's one thing I wanted to touch on that you said, because I think it can very easily be brushed over, but you said it's so incredible what a year can do. And I just want to highlight that for a second, because we are so impatient in business. We're so impatient with ourselves. We're so impatient with success. We are definitely impatient with money. And business is not a short game. Success is not, are you going to hit a milestone this month, this quarter, or even this year? When I was in my network marketing days, I used to tell my team, I'm in this for the long haul. Like, I'm not thinking about this next sale. I'm not thinking about this next team member. I'm thinking about my big goal. And in the grand scheme, this one thing, this 1 month, this one quarter doesn't matter. And I just want you to remember that when you are feeling nervous about taking a new leap or going in a new direction, that yeah, it is going to feel scary and it is going to take time, but that's the reality. It's like, we want to like silver platter, like you can be successful and you can change your life in the next 30 days, and you can. And there's going to be rocks. What's the word I'm looking for? Valleys, right? Obstacles. There we go. There's going to be hills and valleys. And that is the name of the game. There is always a test, but you have to trust the long game. And I think that's what I heard you say when you said it's incredible what a year can do, because now that we know that and we've seen it play out, we're so trusting in the long game now. We're so trusting in ourselves to be able to make the decisions that lead us towards that long game versus what feels easy right now.
Well, I think a year has passed, and yes, there's a lot of retrospective thinking, right? It's 20 what is it? What do they say?
Hindsight's 2020.
Hindsight's 2020. And yes, and also I think that one thing that Marley and I are really good at with each other is reminding the other that, okay, yeah, today felt hard. Today sucked. But yesterday wasn't that way, and tomorrow doesn't have to be that way. And what you were saying about business being the long game, would we love to hit our revenue goal that we set for ourselves? 1,000,000%. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't mean anything about us. It doesn't mean anything about the business. One thing that we are really focusing on right now is that one person that comes to us, the next one person, right? The next one conversation that we have, because it is in those one conversations that the magic happens, that the confidence builds, that the business like snowballs. You said something about earlier, like going all in. I think we wanted to be all in for the whole year, and we've done some incredible things, right? Individually, together, but we have not felt this all in on what we were doing and what we were selling and like who we were helping until we made the leap to finally merge. This has been something that we've thought about forever. And it was like, oh, okay, in the future, when we do this, which is exactly what we teach our clients not to like focus on. When I have, then I'll. When I do, then I'll. And we found ourselves like, oh, that's what we're doing right now. And going all in, you can't be tiptoeing when you're all in. And we were tiptoeing. And the numbers show that we were tiptoeing. Right? And our personal results show that we were tiptoeing. Not that it's anything negative. It's just like their tiptoe numbers, their tiptoe results. And so now we are no longer tiptoeing. We are treading water in the deep end. If you'd like to meet us there, that's where we'll be. But I think it's really interesting. A year ago, I could not see this. And if you told me this was going to happen, I would have told you there's no way that we can go, me personally, can go from where I am today to feeling so solid and confident and excited about not only business, but being able to do things in our personal life that we want to be able to do. And now that we have the opportunity to do. And honestly, it 10K months, 5K months, like none of that has mattered. What has mattered is having our priorities front and center and then letting the numbers talk because our priorities are in the right place. And I hate when people say that. Like, what does that even mean? It means like the last month I've been moving things off my calendar just steadily. Okay, we're going to move that appointment off the calendar. I can't, like, I cannot have all of this stuff on the calendar and continue what I've been doing. And so, like, one thing at a time. All right, cancel that. It's done. We're not doing that anymore. And so I think it's as easy as that. It's also really hard, by the way, for someone who's a doer, an action taker. If you've not done your Clifton strengths, my number one strength is achiever. Like, that is my number one strength. It is also my Achilles heel because I am always looking to achieve. I'm always moving the marker. And I've had to learn, what does that look like to make the business sustainable, to make my lifestyle sustainable, to make the goals that I have for my family sustainable. So yes, 1 year can change everything, but you also have to be willing to change, to make changes.
I've had myself muted because my dog is barking, of course, at probably the mail lady. Becca, I want to ask you to tell me, what do you think? Okay, let's start. Sorry, let me jump back a second. You mentioned that our revenue goal, while being so important to us in terms of just having a really powerful goal for ourselves to strive towards, at the end of the day, not hitting it isn't the end of the world to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that stems from just us being so confident that, like, we know that our job is to serve. And so we know that by focusing on that one person, that next conversation, that next potential client is the vehicle to get us to our revenue goal. And all we can focus on, so all we have control over in our business is putting it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't control the yes and we can't control the no, but we can control focusing on who we feel that we can help and then giving them the option to say yes to that and allowing that to be their decision. And so I just feel like we have so much integrity right now in how confident we are in our method and in how we help people. And my brain got a little squirrely there from my dog, but that was what came up for me. I wanted to ask you a question around when we first were having a conversation, even just a few months ago, about really going all in on this merge. What would you say was like your biggest hesitation? And how did knowing your numbers help us work through that?
I think for me, it was like a responsibility. So it's not just me now. It's not just me that I have to worry about. It's not just like, how will I pay my bills? Like, if we have a low month, I also now have someone else to think about. It's like when you have a kid and you're like, oh, shoot, it's not just me eating ramen noodles every night. Like, I have to be able to feed another human being something other than what I've been doing. And that's what it felt like. And a lot of people will say, you might be thinking, I don't know, that, well, Mind Her Business has been your baby. How can you be so excited? It has nothing to do with this company being my baby to begin with. It has everything to do with my friendship and my partnership with Marley and not wanting that to be affected and not wanting that to ever take a hit because I'm worried about money or business or things like that. And then you and I also have this strong belief that this year, yes, we have a revenue goal to hit. If you're a business owner, you should also have a revenue goal to hit. Does that mean that you have to like lie, cheat, and steal to get to that revenue goal? No. 100, please don't do that. Please don't do any of those things. But we firmly believe that this year we are working to set ourselves up for success next year. What we're doing this year is not just the foundation to the business. It's the bedrock. Like it's going to be built into the ground. So it cannot go anywhere. And that's what our focus has been this year. And making sure that our relationship was number one priority. And I think that you would agree, right? We've had conversations like, I want you to tell me if you're nervous. I want you to tell me if you're upset. I want you to tell me if you want to back out of this. Like, even if we get 6 months into this and we decide, I actually want two separate businesses. Okay, great. Then we tried it and one of us or both of us is not happy. We're giving ourselves permission to change and to evolve and to let the business evolve with us. But the revenue goal has to be a byproduct of everything else that's happening. It has to.
Mhm. Yeah. We've had so many candid conversations, and we keep saying like we should have a podcast episode just on the hard conversations about money that we've even had to have together. To just be like, let's say the hardest thing, the hardest thought you're having, let's get it out on the table. And we do. Like, we're so comfortable doing that. And I really love that. That numbers and money has become something that we can talk about so openly and freely and confidently, because so many of our clients come to us hiding from their money, good or bad. They're like, if I don't look at it, I don't have to deal with it. And that changes really quickly. It's really fun to see how quickly that changes when you know your numbers. And that's why we've been able to make this merge so confidently, is because we have that foundation built. Like, we are drilling into bedrock. We're not just laying cement, right? I love that. I think for me, one of my biggest hesitations was that as a business coach that didn't talk a lot about money, like pricing offers, of course, and you know, profit goals, of course, but I wasn't teaching money. And one of my fears was that, okay, if I start shifting my messaging, is that going to be confusing for my audience? Am I going to, you know, confuse people and scare them all away and then not be able to drive sales to the business for a lot longer? So then I'm not going to feel like I'm holding my end of the bargain because I'm in a shift in the middle of a transition and having to rebuild. And so we've had just so many conversations around that, and been able to also kind of like quash that. Like, the value I bring to the business isn't just sales. Like, the value you bring to your business isn't just who says yes. Again, we can't control who says yes. But you know, we both have so many skills. We have so many job titles that we have identified, who's responsible for what, that we can make sure that we are both holding our own. And when you look at the numbers, so here's a great way that we had a conversation around, okay, so if Becca's driving the sales right now, which this is all very hypothetical because it's all very new. We don't actually know if that's true or not. But let's say in 3 more months, you know, Marley has brought in 30% of the sales and Becca has brought in 70% of the sales. Well, that's really important data. That's really important for us to go, okay, so now we know that right now, based on where we're at, Becca is driving more sales. So what could Marley do to support Becca to really continue leaning in to selling right now? Because that's where 70% of our revenue is coming from. Can I take off one of your tasks as I'm still building up my audiences? You know, because we do have 2 separate Instagrams still. We're not both working on one together. So that data allows us to make so many smart decisions and be able to make them from like hard information, and not Marley's insecure because this may or may not happen.
Right.
So I love strategy. We know this. And so I can just nerd out on those concepts. And we were able to go, well, if that is the truth, maybe it is. So what are you going to do about it? Right? We say that to our clients all the time. Maybe you don't have enough money right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to tell you that, but maybe you don't. Maybe you don't have enough to support your bills right now. So what are we going to do about it? And when we know how much, it gives us so much more confidence and freedom to start moving you in the right direction based on that data and not on the feelings that come with the decision.
You said something about how we've had like really open and honest conversations about money. And I just want to highlight that that is the literal point of Mind Her Business. That is the point, so that you as a woman, and especially as a business owner, feel equipped, capable. You feel confident enough to pull up a chair for a money conversation, to pull up a chair at the table where people are talking about business and talking about money, to pull up a chair beside your accountant and say, yes, I know what you're looking for. And I have that data. I have those numbers. To pull up a chair beside your husband or your spouse or like whatever and say, we need to talk about money. I had a client last week that I had a closing call with, and she said, more than anything, when she came into Mind Her Business in January of 2023, she said, I don't talk to my husband about money because like it just turns into a big fight. And I was like, okay, well, we'll work on the numbers and then we'll like, maybe work towards having a relationship and conversations about money. In her closing call last week, she said, when I was talking to my husband about money, and I was like, time out. What did you just say? She was like, oh yeah, we have like a weekly conversation about money. And it's so fun now because I'm participating and not just on the listening end of it. Like I can help come up with goals. I can help come up with solutions. I know exactly how much I'm making. So I can tell him how much I'm making now. And I think, yes, she has control of her money. Yes, she's making decisions. And she's doing the one thing that felt like it was going to be the hardest, which was having actual money conversations with her husband. So maybe it's not your husband. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a business partner. I don't know. Maybe it's with your kids. The point of Mind Her Business is to give you the tools, to give you the education, to give you the skills to be able to pull up a chair, whatever the audience is, whoever you're talking to, and have a conversation about money with confidence. And that's what Marley and I like. Oh my gosh, we get so excited when someone comes in and they want to talk about money. We're like, yes, let's talk about money.
And like, we promised the real, the raw, the ugly. One of the driving contributors to divorce is money, fights about money, right? We all know that. We've all heard that statistic. And while we are not marriage counselors by any means,
No.
we know the power of knowing your numbers. And I mean, that testimonial just speaks for itself. That could have totally gone down a really dark path in her marriage and in her relationship and really driven a wedge between them if it carried on, continued to carry on.
Right.
And so the fact that being in a program for just a few months can absolutely change not just your numbers, not just your decision-making skills, but your actual relationships, your relationship with your partner, with your kids, because you can say yes more. You can find ways to say yes more instead of being the mom that's always having to say, sorry, we can't afford that. You can find ways to afford what's important to you. And also just with yourself, because when you know your numbers, it gives you a whole new level of self-confidence because you have a plan and it gives you a sense of control, even when it doesn't look awesome, right? Like we've both been in places in our business where we're like, okay, something's got to change here. Growing new businesses is not for the weak at heart, right? And having a sense of control it changes your aura. It changes how you hold yourself in sales conversations. It changes how the energy you bring to the conversations you're having with potential clients and leads. There is a very big difference between a sense of, oh my gosh, I need to make more money, and I know how much money I need to make. And that's what knowing your numbers does for you. And just can change so many areas in both your business and in your life.
Well, to wrap this up, if you are a current client of ours, we would love to hear your thoughts about the merge. If you are curious about Mind Her Business, if you're curious about what that could look like for you, our Instagram handles are at the bottom in the show notes of this episode, and just DM one of us and let's have an open conversation about what it could look like if it is the right fit for you. And then you don't have to worry about the swirling questions. You don't have to worry about the what if, because you know one way or the other. So we are super excited about this. I can't wait to share more as this just unfolds and becomes whatever it's supposed to become. And we will see you on the next episode.